Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. We've got NBA player props to close out the year for you guys. We are looking at best bets in this episode with the games that we've got. Going to get to mostly the afternoon and evening games here as we don't have too much time before those early starts in the NBA today. But we've also got player props up in a separate episode. So if you do want to make sure you're not missing any of this stuff, go ahead and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along all season with us. Nate, let's go ahead and run right into your first best bet here that we've got for Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll take the over with the Cavs at the Lakers. It's 228 at the moment. Cavs on a back-to-back here, and they just expended a ton of defensive energy. Once again, Kenny Atkinson getting inside the heads of your Golden State Warriors, completely shutting down Curry and Draymond. He knows how the sauce is made. That takes a lot of energy, though, for the Cavs to actually execute that game plan and go out there and hold them below 100. Also, the Warriors' offense sucks right now, so, that's not a huge stay away in terms of they're going to do the same thing to the Lakers. The Lakers had found a little bit on offense here in the last few. Mostly that's because Austin Reeves is absolutely balling. So, and they just had one of their best offensive games of the year with LeBron out on Saturday. LeBron questionable with an illness/hangover because his 40th birthday party was last night and it's New Year's tonight, I guess. So we'll see if he goes. But I think you like AR here to run the offense. It looks like Anthony Davis will play again. Looks like Gabe Vincent might be out, which would definitely be good for the over. He doesn't score. He defends guards very well. So, it could be much more of a I go, you go shootout with Donovan Mitchell. And then the Lakers scoring on the other end. The Cavs are scoring 120 on back-to-backs. They have not had much of a letdown offensively. Defensively, they have allowed 4 more free throw attempts, which is huge for the Lakers. They get to the line all the time. Against the Western Conference, regardless of situation, 130 a game, allowing 113, which is 4 more than against the poo-poo East teams. And that's despite these West teams shooting 33% against the Cavs. As I mentioned yesterday, Cavs have a defensive rating 15 points higher on the road this month, and they also have the worst 3-point defense in the league on the road. And then their offense is just incredible. So I think that both of these teams will be able to get enough. As long as they knock down these threes, they're both bottom 10 and above the break 3-point percentage allowed this month as well. So the opportunities will be there, and they just got to knock down these looks, which the Cavs have done ridiculously consistently, shooting at a high clip.
Yeah, they're going to keep being an over for sure. I'm interested to see what happens to the Lakers here as they sort of look a little bit different moving forward. No D'Lo, more DFS. Obviously, we know now DFS is going to be coming off the bench as well. So at some point, we might need to sort of rectify or at least recalibrate how we look at this Lakers squad. But I don't know what to do with it yet. And 228 is going to be super low as long as the Lakers can come for the ride at all, because I'm still very confident in the Cavs' ability to score. I think you'll see their tired legs show up much more on defense, which you basically said there, and I just summarized in a sentence, but you said it way better. Let's look at Memphis and Phoenix, and unfortunately, Book is questionable, so and he is this important to the total, that if he is in, I'm taking over 236.5. And as soon as he's ruled out, I'm going right under 236.5. I would say this man is worth a lot to the total here, more than anything. That's really what I'm looking at. Now, for Memphis, let's just start there, right? They're going to play fast. They're going to score points. It's going to happen. I get it. The thing is, there's everybody and their mom is out except for Jaren Jackson Jr., Scottie Pippen, and a few others. But Edie is out. Ja is obviously out. And then just go down the list. Santi Aldama at this point is even out. So there's a lot of scorers that are not going to be playing. Obviously, Vince Williams Jr. hasn't played much. Gigi Jackson hasn't played much. I could actually keep going on. But more importantly, the guys that are going to be out there for Memphis, it doesn't really matter. With Scottie Pippen and Desmond Bane running things in the backcourt, they still move really fast. They're just not as efficient, I would say, without Ja in there. There's a little bit less transition, but not much. It's basically the same team. The thing is that Book is so important to this Phoenix team, and not just its offense and the way it plays, but also the way it plays transition. So I'm looking at Booker over, because if he's in, we're talking about him keeping this defense not as good. The pace goes up from 93 without him to almost 97 with him. The opponent's points, they go up by 3 with him, in part because there's just more possessions. The defensive rating is damn near the same, but there's just so much more basketball with Booker on the floor because they play so much faster and are willing to get out into transition and into the fast break. The total of their games drops by about 7 points with or without him. Versus when he's in there. So I think you're just going to see the offense continue to hum. We're talking about 114 points per game with them, with Booker, 104 for the Suns team this year without Devin Booker in the lineup. And his on-off stuff, even when he's in the game, he does push the pace a bit more as you see other guys like KD and Beal a lot more willing to get into the half court when it's their offense. Same with Tyus Jones, not Trey, his brother on the Spurs. Same with Tyus as well when he started out there running things. So, you put him in the second unit as well for Tyus Jones, then you're looking at a lot more effective basketball throughout the game rather than just when the starters are on the floor for Phoenix, because that bench now, by the way, Grayson Allen back as well, and as good of a defender as he is, they definitely need one more shooter. Also going to be without Royce O'Neal. That also leads you to an over as a good defender. And that's not going to be out there for them to guard Memphis. So yeah, I'm going to just basically wait on the book news and then play accordingly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, missed 5 games. Will he come back here? I see. I agree with you based on how he impacts the total. I might be leaning towards the under as a play based on what we know right now, just because of how many guys the Grizzlies are missing. And I know they play fast, but will they be able to score efficiently? And the Suns have been an under team lately. They're actually probably going to be better defensively without Nurkic, who's suspended, right? So I think I would lean under based on what we know here. And maybe Book is rusty in his first game back and doesn't have huge numbers against Memphis in general anyway. So yeah, I'll take Wolves plus 6.5. I think this is a half unit play though, just because the Thunder are so damn scary. Can easily run away and cover a 7 here, but I think like they've had the post NBA Cup bump, have the Thunder, and this is their 4th game in 6 nights now. It's an exhausting schedule. And I just think this game means a lot more to the Wolves based on, how we saw them play against Dallas on Christmas, just like absolutely ferocious. The Wolves of last year, like these are playoff litmus tests, and to go into OKC and be like, all right, we're going to bring our defense first and foremost. We're going to make this a playoff game, and then you definitely want the 7 if you're going to have a close, low scoring game between the 2 best defenses in the league this month. Like you definitely got to think it's under. I see people steaming the over here a little bit just because Minnesota's had a couple overs in a row. Like I would not do that. That doesn't sound like a good idea. I mean, the last 4 meetings they've averaged 213 and it's been plus 4.5 for OKC, like very tight games. And OKC, I mean, they limit. Minnesota limits everything that OKC is going to want to do except the mid range. Maybe SGA gets his like 35, but like there's just not a lot of other great offensive options with Chet out there. There's not a lot of great rim protection without Chet out there. And I mean, this is more about Minnesota, right? I mean, it seems like they finally found something in terms of like riding that second unit a little more, putting Julius Randle with him and Naz Reid and Dante, and that being their kind of their best lineup at times. And it's another conversation about, is Rudy Gobert a good fit with anyone in the modern NBA? Because they just suddenly look great when he's off the floor there, and they've figured out some issues in the 4th quarter, at least in these last 2, to pull out of it. I mean, Dante is alive and well. I know we like his player prop here against OKC, which allows a lot of spot up threes. And yeah, I just don't think that this is going to be a lopsided game. I mean, this is only the 5th time this year Minnesota's been an underdog, which is strange because of how bad they've been early in the season, but they've covered in 3 of those 4. So like, and Ant has covered his points in all of those. So I like Ant to score, to keep them in it, and for this to be a good defensive battle.
So I see what you're saying. The only thing that I'm looking at is, you mentioned the sort of, I don't know, resurgence, the just coming back to life, the revival in a way of Dante DiVincenzo. And I do think, look, we tried to predict this earlier in the year that like Dante was going to eventually take over Mike Conley. I think that might be the case starting now. It does seem like the last couple of games have been that for him. 10 threes attempted in both of those last 2. Doesn't seem like it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that you need more 3-point shooting if you're watching any Minnesota Timberwolves basketball this season, other than Ant pull-ups, which are great. It's just, it can't be that the whole game. So yeah, I think Dante's going to be out there more. We'll see how that impacts things. But I would tend to agree that the Wolves are on a better trajectory. I'm going to stay away from the total. I'm honestly just going to stay away from that game in general, but I think it's going to be a good game, and I think you have a pretty good read on it. So I'm going to close things out with a player prop. I really do not feel like messing with the rest of the stuff that we have here. The Clips, they're 4-point dogs now after playing. Now they're going to be on the back-to-back. Obviously a tough game that they ended up pulling out yesterday against New Orleans, which is wild. New Orleans continues to lose. But yeah, against the Spurs, I'd like the Spurs. I don't really want to touch it. And then everything else is early today. So let me just get a player prop for that late game for Desmond Bane. And also, by the way, I don't think I would be touching anything with the two early games either, just for the record, for those of you watching. That 17.5-point spread for the Celtics. I was like, let me go look at the first half. They usually do well. 10.5 points. All right. I guess there's nothing here. So at 125.5-point team total for the Celtics. That's where that game is at. Desmond Bane is at 22.5 points, and I like the over for a specific reason that I don't. And by the way, you can get 21.5 for like minus 140 or 150. I don't really want to mess with it, so I just took the 22.5 because I think he's going to be good for about 24 to 25 points in this one with the 32 to 36 minutes that he's going to play. I don't even know where they're picking guys up from with how many guys they have on the injury report right now in Memphis. It's wild, but Desmond Bane will be out there for a while. And the thing here is we're in this situation against Phoenix. This is a team that does not defend the pull-up. They defend the catch and shoot. So you do want to take point guards. We've been saying that since last year. Point guards, primary ball handlers specifically, anybody that doesn't really need to have a pass to them to be able to score one-on-one. That's the kind of guy you want to take against the Phoenix defense. Even with Boot out there now, same concept, right? But Budden is going to basically give up what he wants around the perimeter, but that's it. And then everything else you're going to have to get off of a pull-up or some pick-and-roll action going to the rim. And that's it. That's what you get against Phoenix. That's what Desmond Bane does when Ja's not in there. I was ready to just go hit Ja, whatever the point total they gave me was, to go over versus a Phoenix team that is actually not that bad in transition, surprisingly, just bad everywhere else. And this is a Memphis team that does want to get out into transition. But Desmond Bane, I've looked up, you have to go into box scores. You can't just, there's no, how many pull-up shots does Desmond Bane take without Ja Morant? At least not in front of a paywall. You have to get some pretty intense data to get there. But if you do go into each game log with Desmond Bane playing this year without Ja Morant, which is about 10 or 11 games rather, his pull-up shooting just skyrockets. He goes from taking about 3 pull-up shots per game with Ja to up about 8 pull-ups without Ja. And that clearly just indicates he's the primary ball handler. The touches go up, the passes to and made and received go up for Desmond Bane. He becomes the point guard. All of his stats now indicate he is the primary ball handler. Even with Scottie P out there seemed to be a moment that maybe we all just start attacking Scottie Pippen Jr. props when Ja's out. And then Memphis was like, nah, we didn't give him the keys like that. It just isn't the way it is. So I think Desmond Bane is the better look here. The Suns giving up the most field goals made off of the pull-up. They have the second highest frequency of pull-up shots taken against them. And the three-pointer is a big problem for them as well, which is why I think Dane will be good to get to his points. Because like I said, with the 34 minutes right here that I have him projected for, I have him at about 24.5 points. So I like this over up to about 23.5.
Yeah, it's a good call. And I mean, and if you do want to go conservative, get him down to 20 points in a parlay in this game, Kevin Durant to score 20, man. I mean, that's about that death taxes situation. I don't care if Devin Booker comes back. I mean, KD still gets his 20. And Memphis is a skeleton crew right now on defense. So if you like points in this game, if Booker's back, either way, I mean, the total's 236. Like, even if you like the under, Kevin Durant's been doing everything for this team. Like, they've just been a skeleton crew around him offensively. So I think that's very reliable as well on the other side.
Yeah, a little SGP 2020 for KD and Bane. I can definitely see that. He's had 20 points for the majority of this season for sure. So that's all the time we have for you, though, in this one. Definitely want to make sure to subscribe and check out player props as well. Hope everybody has a good new year. Until we see you next, happy betting.